this is a Women's Month special podcast, a month for only women who are making a mark, who are there, who are changing course of not only their life, but the life of many through their work, through what they're doing right now. So, this woman today is an entrepreneur who wants to promote sexual wellness with her brand of vegan condoms. To create a judgment free shopping experience for condom users, 26-year-old Aruna Chawla started Salad, what a name, redefining contraceptive marketing along the way. So, Aruna, this is a short and sweet introduction. I'm sure there is a lot of stuff that you want to tell us at this young age. And I'm sure that everybody's asking you, how come? What really attracted you to this? How did you get the courage to do it? And how are you facing so much of, I'm sure a lot of people asking you, that's very bold. So, very encouraging. I'm so happy to have also young kids on my podcast because there's so much that I learn from them. So, thank you for joining in. And please take on from here. Tell us all about yourself and this journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Archana. I turned 27 less than a month ago, so 1 year added to my age. But it's very interesting because, I read law back at university, which is 4 years ago. I graduated from law school 4 years ago. So I was in Bangalore for that. And I was working with the United Nations as an art and fashion lawyer, but even with that super glamorous space, I was working with cultural policy actors. I was working with artists who become refugees because of the political nature of their work. I was working with societies and communities whose traditional knowledge had been stolen in the form of and like later, like say fashion houses, for example, where they steal knowledge and don't credit community. So I was working in that space of impact. So despite work being super profitable, super purposeful, it just didn't feel something that I was really passionate about. I didn't see myself doing it for the next 10 years or 20 years. And I knew that something had to change. I just didn't know what. With time, I found the space of consumer psychology, which was really interesting because I'm a shopaholic. And for me at that time, the big challenge was how do I, curb my shopping addiction? So whatever I'm earning, how do I not spend so much? And that's how, it led me to consumer psychology, which helped me, could understand how marketers are. And, when I found that, I started studying, I did a diploma course. And that is when I found that this is where my passion lies, in helping marketers market better, in helping businesses understand their consumers better. So I started working in the space of brand research, consumer research, etc. And that all the work I did influenced social media marketing, PR, etc. Very interestingly, one of the clients I was working with at that time was an intimate health and wellness brand based out of the UK. And I thought, very interesting, let me see how it goes with India. And the stats that I found appalled me. I found government stats that said only 5.6% of India's population use condom, like eligible population use condoms. But more surprisingly, 48% use no form of contraceptive at all. So, almost 50% of the country is not having safe sex. And that was super appalling because it wasn't just because, condoms had such poor use. It was simply that for a country with almost the highest population in the world, why do we not know how to protect our body better?
Yeah.
And that really inspired me to start focusing on a sexual wellness, intimate health and wellness brand that focused less on pleasure and, the pornographic male gaze, and more on just making this a health first choice. So, condoms is not just about the sexy act of sex. It's about being healthy. It's about keeping your body safe from unwanted pregnancy. It's about preventing STDs, etc. So we started off with condoms. There's a huge list of things that we've been doing in the last 1 year and that we plan for the next few years. But really that was the idea that, help India's women exercise bodily autonomy, help them, take control of their intimate health and wellness decisions through Salad.
Beautiful. And when I see your website, I've never seen a website like that. It's bold, quirky. It's fantastic. It is so colorful. It attracts you, I think just the way maybe your condoms do. So what are you actually doing to promote, salad? Tell us a little bit about it. What are you really doing? Because I see that your creators are very attractive, but are you like talking to a lot of people, spreading the awareness? What do you do? Really tell us.
So we started less than 1 year ago. In that time, and I'll include my background as a consumer psychologist here. In that time, I focused very, very minimally on paid marketing. My big focus has been on getting the message across, building that kind of virality into the product as well. So all our sales, all our growth, 100% has been through organic PR, through word of mouth marketing, people taking up the cause, and spreading the knowledge, friends sharing it with friends. We have a lot of people, who shop salad to gift in their bachelorette kits or birthday kits. So, just help, it's become more community driven. And very interestingly, our next steps was a tech product. Salad was just one physical product, that the condom was just one physical product that we had launched. I have already started, testing out a tech product. Almost 500 consumers are using it. And the idea of that product was to give an audio based wellness experience, a guided wellness experience. So at the click of a button on your mobile phone, you can go through various chapters. For our testing round, we've got 6 chapters, and they range from different aspects, because I strongly believe that sex is not just physical. It's also mental, it's also emotional, it also defines the kind of relationship you share with your partner. So it's not enough to, know what kind of penetration would work for you, or what position works for you, that a cosmopolitan can already tell you, or how to prevent STDs, which a medical practitioner can tell you. But how do you communicate your needs? How do you identify what turns you on, or what your boundaries are? How do you understand why you're not orgasming, for example? There is nothing that I found online, or speaking to people, that can help me understand why, if like say for 2 months I'm having sex and just not able to orgasm, what is happening. So with the tech product that we're building, it's an audio based experience that takes you through various aspects of your intimate life. It in the future, it'll include things like dating. It'll include things like, how do you masturbate well and get yourself off? How do you build body confidence? How do you feel sexy? How do you identify a personal style that makes you feel good every time you wake up? How does food impact your hormones and your moods? So there's this huge gamut that's missing, because we're just not ready to recognize or acknowledge that we are sexual beings. And for me, feeling sexy is not just about what my partner tells me in bed. It's also about me looking into the mirror and thinking, damn, I look really good, or my picture coming out well. So there's so much happening there, and we're very excited because we've got really good response on what we're building. And so that's one thing. Second, I think sex education for the younger generation is super important, and it's not the kind of time I had or my parents had. When I was growing up, I was maybe in 12th grade when I joined Facebook. So, there was a huge period of my growing up that I didn't have internet access. But children after me have internet access from like 9 years old, 10 years old. Their friends do too. So without a doubt, they are going to stumble onto these things. They'll stumble onto pornography. They'll stumble onto articles about these things. Whether it's a Reddit or a Discord community. I think it's super important for us as, the models or the role models that these children will have, to give them the right kind of education. So 15% of our profits are committed to enabling sex ed in schools and colleges in India, because I think that change in the long run will start generationally. It's not going to be easy for me to change, how my parents' generation thinks. Maybe our generation, and if I'm a better parent to my children, their generation is going to lead this mission further. So we're very clear on committing that kind of profits to the upcoming generations.
I think you're right. It's not about the product here, it's about communication. And this topic is such a taboo, even talking about period was such a taboo, when I was growing up. And I'm so glad that, my daughter speaks about it openly. She doesn't care if my husband's there or my son's sitting, and, she always is very open. And I see that with a lot of, I think, everybody around me, at least while they're growing up now. So there is a big change, but there is still, like you said, a lack of, the way that we are handling it right from school education. And I think that is so important. And you're doing a fantastic job. And I'm sure that this is clearly break the bias. This hashtag goes very well with you. And I want to know, what are the things that are coming in your way still? I'm sure the society is still not open as it should be. So what are you facing in, developing this whole product, the range, your thought process, education around it?
I think just generally, entrepreneurship is not easy. And no matter what you would do, there's a very select group of people that will encourage you. Most people are just going to discourage you and, want you to be part of the herd mentality, go get a 9 to 5, this, that. My parents didn't understand why I wanted my own business instead of a UN job for the longest time, even though I come from a very pure play business class family. My dad had his own businesses. My mom's uh, has her own businesses. And I mean, honestly, I understand where they come from. A UN consultancy at such a young age is super coveted. There's nothing, beyond it that you can do. It was super well paying. But I always had that drive. So initially it was tough to convince them. It wasn't tough to convince them about salad, as in, the product and the industry, but just, why do you want to switch? Law is a fruitful field. Don't switch. You've spent so much time in it. And beyond that, there's obviously, because once, you start working, and in today's world, everything is public. There is a section of society that wouldn't make you feel as comfortable. So there are times, when I'll get calls from people, who'd want to talk to me. I'll get calls at random times in the night, and they'll just keep calling, or some lewd images or messages on our social media. But I think it's just part and parcel, because for a majority, people have been supportive. They've taken up the cause. They've been super encouraging. They've shared their insights about what's working well, what's not working well. So maybe that, that 5% that's not been comfortable has 100% been overshadowed by the 95% who've, backed us up.
Wow, that's good to know. And I'm also not surprised or shocked that you're getting random messages about everything.
Yeah. I think privilege plays a huge role. I will not deny it at all, because I studied in an English speaking school. I went to law school, which obviously means I come with a certain kind of economic background. And I'm part of a certain section of the society where a lot of these things would be okay. Maybe if I came from a different section, maybe if I was, say, I studied in a government school, or like I was just not part of this section, I may not have been able to do it with this much confidence.
Brilliant. Yes, I know what you mean. And I'm also glad that you recognize the fact that how privilege plays an important part in our, grooming us, conditioning us, and also making us think in a certain way. But how did you really understand this whole range of how should a condom be made in the first place? Why did you come out with the thinnest possible condom, that I was reading? So who guided you along the process, and how did it all start?
I think, even though I don't practice law anymore, and I knew I didn't want to, there is so much I learned during that phase: research, communication, strategizing, negotiation. So, even though I didn't study the law per se, there are tons of soft skills that I learned. And I know that my research is unparalleled.
Wow.
For almost 1 year, I tried to get in touch with every single condom manufacturer in the country, got as many samples as I could, figured it out. I also did a 3-month long survey of people around me, my friend circle, professional circle, their friends, to understand, why they don't buy condoms. If they do, what they like, what do they not like, what the challenges are. And obviously, I've used them myself, right? So my partner and I did tons of brainstorming. It's really funny, but for us, intimate time also became work time in that sense, because we would just be thinking what's working, what's not working, etc. So I mean, and that was the idea, like one big challenge with condoms has been, from what people have told me, that they don't like how it feels. I do think that a lot of it is psychological, but if you want to change somebody's habit, you have to at least give them some leeway, right? Ultra thins work really well. The kind of condoms that we have, you can't even feel them, they're that thin, but that does not take away from the stability or strength. Additionally, although I've never had a problem of allergies or rashes, no matter what condom I've used, I know of a lot of women who do, which is why they've always uh, kept themselves away from using condoms, because they don't want to get into all that. And I worked with all these manufacturers to understand what kind of composition can work that can prevent these allergies and rashes, which is why we came up with a condom that has no artificial flavors, no artificial fragrances. So even if people think, oh, it smells different, it smells a little weird in terms of we're not used to this, that's how it's naturally supposed to smell. The benefit of that has been that women who've previously complained of having allergies or rashes don't face it anymore. So we try to tackle all of those things in terms of a health first perspective. And when it comes to the feel of it, you can't feel it at all, that it's there. So it works really well. And then all the focus that remains is on how you and your partner are performing in bed. So that's how we did it. It was a long process. It was a long research process. I had to go deep into understanding how each element comes together. For example, there's a ton of technical upgradation or progress that's been made in condom technology itself. There is potential to not use any animal byproducts without hampering the strength or the thinness of the condoms, which is why we say we're vegan condoms, because we don't use any animal byproducts. We understand it's not a product that you will eat, but it definitely helps us start a conversation about what goes inside your condom, because for most part, people don't even know what their condoms are made of. This is not something that condom brands share openly or on their websites. We do. On our packaging itself, there's a QR code. As soon as you scan it, it takes you to a page on the website which has details of each element, each chemical component that's used, what are the other uses in other fields. You have that kind of relatability. And we're constantly updating this as well.
Very well. And I think what I liked was the research part. And I know that I have also heard this also from one or two more people who have had the research background and how that helps. And I'm very attracted now also to study a little bit how to do the research before anything else. And that's I think the success of what you're doing today, because you studied so much on what is the need of the hour. How do we create a differentiation? What is the niche that you're trying to create, providing also the impact that you're doing through veganism, through being eco-friendly, to
Yeah.
also education, which is fantastic. So I'm very happy, to be honest, and I feel so much maturity at this stage. And I'm thinking, normally would ask the second act question towards the end, but I'm very tempted to ask you now. So, what is the second act which is coming out, or do you understand, or what do you understand from second act? Since this is a podcast which focuses on that.
Yeah, I think, and before this interview, you'd sent me a couple of questions, and I've been thinking about it for the whole week. I think there are these few events in my life that have defined the course of where I am. Even though like I mentioned a while back that my mom has her own business, but that wasn't always the case. She got married very young. She wasn't able to complete her education, even though on the background my parents, my grandparents are all very well educated, but it was just a time when that was not a priority. And she restarted her education. We wrote our exams together when I was in 10th grade. So
Oh,
she completed her education, and every morning during my 10th grade, we would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and study together before going on, before I'd go to school, before she'd go for her classes, all of that. And we used to study together for my boards and her finals. I think that totally changed her. And as a result, it totally changed us. It was very difficult because I'd never seen my mother not have time for us, right? Because she started prioritizing herself and her work. But I think I firsthand saw how entrepreneurship, or just, a woman working, taking carving time out for herself, led to more confidence, led to more independence, a clarity of purpose. I feel like she became a better mother when she started working. There was a little more space we got to, make mistakes. It wasn't around us all the time, so we had to become more responsible.
very nice.
And that shift was for all of us to learn, right? I don't think there could have been a better decision. So I did decide to go ahead and pursue law. But if that wasn't working, I took the responsibility on myself to micro experiment, to explore opportunities, to explore what I'd be really, really passionate about, and have the courage to do something that people may not agree. Because when she was studying, I remember my maternal grandma was not comfortable with the idea at all, even though my grandparents were okay and my father was extremely supportive and encouraged her. My maternal grandma's idea was, why do you need to do it now? It's too late. You're already married, you have your kids, you're in your 30s, it's not needed. And I think like her courage gave me the courage throughout to do something that's different, to do something that, not everyone will understand, just because I really want to do it and see it through. So I think that was the second act for me, because I was growing up as a kid, with a homemaker mother who had a very set path carved out for her at that time. And her one decision to do something she always really wanted to do changed the course of all our lives.
I think that's very inspiring. I would love to meet her one day, and
Yeah.
thank you for recognizing that fact as well and encouraging her. It's really, I think I'm sure that she's proud to have you today. And especially on the path that you've chosen, I think it's so good. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing this, of course. And so from here on, tell me, what is that purpose that you are seeking with, what you're doing?
Um, I think, I strongly believe in the idea of double good. It's something I learned from Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius had spoken about it. That and it's part of CSR also that we understand now, but it predates to philosophy back then. That you don't have to harm somebody else to do a good job for yourself, right? So it's clear, I want to make money. I want people to recognize me and recognize the work that I'm doing. I want to, be seen as an expert in some space or the other. I want a thriving career. But at the same time, I think that this is something that can impact people more, like beyond me or my immediate circle. I feel like I'm standing on somebody else's shoulders as I say these things, because the kind of privilege I've got has been a fight thousands and lakhs of women have fought over the years. So if I was not in this place, I may not have been able to switch careers. I may not have been able to pursue a career at all, because I might have been married young, I might have had a kid by now. But just that kind of opportunity that others have created for me have led to this, and I want to use what I'm doing to create opportunities for others. Because I think especially for women, we're the only ones who can bear children, right? Men can't. And end of the day, all said and done, our maternal, the time that we're bearing a child or rearing one, impacts our career.
Right.
If by showing authentically and understanding what we want, both in our professional and personal life, we can decide when to have children, if at all, or not. We can create a life that we would really like to have. It's not something that's forced onto us. If I didn't have this opportunity, I may not have been able to work the way I do, despite having a partner, despite having a family. Maybe being a mother would have been forced upon me in that sense. But
Yeah.
it's not, because I have this opportunity. So I think that is broadly the kind of impact I want to drive.
Hmm.
If I can help women have a better relationship with their body, and as a result they're the outside world, I think my job is done.
I think that is more powerful than anything. I think that is something that we all, I have just seen, that however attractive you are, however, the body that you have, we still feel one less. We still feel, oh, I could have been like, somebody else, or the body shape could be something, or I wish I could love my body the way, I want to. So there is always something which is like, like we're not enough, despite having everything. I think also gratitude is something that I think you can probably think of building in between. Okay, so I'm sure that being young, I'm sure that what you're trying to do is also bringing in a lot of other emotions. It could be fear, sometimes it could be mental stress, anxiety, a lot, and you're going through as well, like anybody else. So how are you handling that in your life? Or what do you have to tell
um
people around you? What works for you, maybe?
I think, I feel like these things are marathons, not sprints. Some days are going to be great, some days are going to be bad. But
Right.
if you have clarity of what that big purpose is, it's going to work. So, let's say salad's growth is really, really slow. I'm not able to fundraise in the next 1 year. I'm okay with that because I have a plan to go either way. If not this year, then next year, then the third year. I know it is going to be successful. I just have to keep working towards it. And finding what keeps you motivated is great, because one thing I have on my desk here is just a financial forecast. And I love looking at that because money motivates me. I like thinking, the minute it's successful, this is how much I'm going to make. So I have to work towards it. But beyond that, there's also an impact, that you're driving. It's very, I'm part of a community called Leap Club, and they had an event back in November. About 150 women, Delhi NCR, were invited for it. I knew a lot of them from before because I'd seen them around, but I didn't know they knew me. And it was so overwhelming because almost everybody knew about salad. So either they knew me and they wanted to meet me, or they had heard of me and they wanted to meet me.
Okay.
So, and it's crazy. I mean, I'm just 26. These are people with 20, 25, 30 years of experience, and they like what I'm doing. And, they're encouraging me that, you're doing something that we wish existed at our time. So we would have had a better life in that time. And I think that just that constant encouragement is really, really driving me forward.
And you think that this fame that you're getting might just get you, what should I say, stop you from your growth the way you're going, or how are you keeping yourself humble? Let's put it this way.
I'm a super, super private person. You won't see anything about my personal life online on social media. My private Instagram has no pictures because I'm just not somebody who wants to share it. I'm very, very family oriented. That's where I like spending my time. I'm completely fine, spending time, all my time at home with my parents, sister, my partner, his family. So I think like that keeps me grounded because I'm very clear that this is impact driven, but it's also a job that I've created at the end of the day for myself. It's not some, they are not praising me for me. What they're really focused on is the work that I'm doing. And if somebody else can come in and do that work better, it's not going to make a difference. I'm not the one who's central to this. It's the impact that's central, and anybody can do it, right? So I'm clear on that, and I think that keeps me humble. And also, just constant failure keeps you humble. Failure in the sense that micro experiments don't work always. One has to work, but hundreds don't work. So just focusing on that, focusing on getting work done is what's important, I feel. And that is what keeps me driven and grounded.
I agree, and I don't agree with you at this point that it's not, it doesn't matter that who's driving it and anybody can take it over. No, it's not true. Everybody is doing some kind of work, but some get really known for their work, and some people just do their work. And I think why do they get known is because of the person behind it. It is your ethos. It's the way that you bring in your personality. It's the way that you speak about it. It's the way that you're passionate about it. And I don't think you should just dilute that part and completely give it away. It is because you are doing great work and you are very beautiful yourself, my dear.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
yes,
you.
so I know that, of course, you have to keep correcting yourself and telling yourself that, these things should not impact, take the flavor away from you, what you're trying to do, and as a person that
Yeah.
you are. So keep that, of course. Um, of course, there are lots of things, and honestly, I want to go on, because you're so interesting to speak to as well, and I want to know so much from you. But of course, I know that time's limited. I will not do too many more questions, but a few more. If I had to ask you, you said motivation is money. I get it, and very candidly, thank you for bringing that, because for younger kids, yes, it is important, and it should be important. It's also important for me or anybody else, and especially for women, I think, because we are looked at a certain way when it is about money, right? So tell me, how are you being mentored by somebody? Are you following somebody? Who is somebody that you are inspired with, or somebody who's probably assisting you in it or encouraging you, or a book or quote or person who, what is behind it?
Um, I think there are three things that I would bucket all of this into. One is the Stoic philosophy. I follow Ryan Holiday's podcast and his books because I think he completely he makes it really simple to understand. I also understand because I followed the Hindu philosophy a lot. I've read the Bhagavad Gita, and I'm a practicing Hindu. That there are a lot of relations to it, but I really like the Stoic philosophy because it's very clear about the 5 or 6 principles that they have, are very, very clear. And I think they help me live a life that's less stressful, that's very centered to the work that I'm doing. I understand, that say ego is the enemy. Whatever lies in the way becomes the way. So, these ideas have really shaped my thinking over the years. And that's really helped me. The second one, and it might be quite a contrast, is from Cinderella. And one quote that I really liked was "Have courage, be kind." It's through the movie. I don't think it's in the books, but it was in the movie that was released a couple of years ago, and I love it so much. I got it tattooed here.
Wow.
And because like I just really like the idea that no matter what you do, you have to be courageous to pursue it, but you can't forget to be kind to yourself or to others. And I really, really like that idea, because times are going to be tough and times are going to be good too, but you can't forget kindness, you can't forget courage. And the third thing is community. I'm really connected to my professional and personal communities. I'm quite transparent about what I'm doing. I'm not somebody who'll say, oh, my ideas are my own, I'm not going to discuss it with other people. So I'm constantly discussing, I'm constantly talking to people, getting their feedback. And that really helps, because that kind of mentorship comes from people who are invested in your growth, and they care to see you grow. So that's been really helpful. I'm part of Leap Club community, and I think that's just the best decision I've taken in the last few years for myself.
I think your story, your thoughts, your conversation, everything is a great inspiration. And I think a
Thank
lot
you.
of young people would be inspired as well, because this kind of work is fantastic. So encouraging you for that more and more.
Thank you.
Aruna, I think that I would like to have a quick rapid fire with you.
Okay.
One line differently you use on your date, which is not a cliched line, but something different because you're doing different work. What comes to your mind?
I've been in a stable relationship for the last 5 years. I don't think we have dates anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not the right person for it anymore, I think.
Okay. Okay. So if it is not condoms, then what?
I would still be in the space of sex ed. I know for a and I picked it up because I know that even if the business itself was not making profit, I would still find a way to drive the impact that I'm doing. So there's no second thing. Yeah.
Great. What's your fun quotient?
All my sides are fun. Whether it, and I think it shows in the work also.
Yeah.
Salad is a very fun brand. I know I intentionally made it that way. I wanted it to be an extension of my personality. So whether it's at home, whether it's in my personal life, it's with friends, it's at work, I want to have fun, because if I'm spending so much time doing something, I don't want it to be boring. I don't want other people to be bored with me. So I think all my sides are fun. I intentionally make sure that all of them are fun.
What is Aruna doing 10 years hence?
I'm getting married this year. So that's going to be an addition to my life, hopefully with kids as well, and teaching them about sex ed. I think it should start early. But I want to focus on this itself. I want to focus on, identifying ways of enabling the younger generation. Use tech. I really believe in the power of tech and scale. Use this to drive that kind of impact. I don't see myself doing anything differently. This is something I'm really passionate about, when I skip parties with friends over weekends just to work, because I can't stop thinking about it. If I have an idea, I have to execute it, because I think it's so critical and it's so important and it's so much fun. I don't think I would do anything else either.
Oh, wow, great. This is fun. Okay, I'm not stopping right now.
Yeah.
This is cute. Okay, so if you had to start writing a book, what would be the title?
Ooh, what would be the title? I think I had an idea and I'd written it down somewhere, but I don't remember it now.
Anything that comes to your mind?
Yeah, maybe it would be on courage and kindness, but more fun. I think one thing that I find is that being a good person, just the kind of philosophy about being a good person ends up being about how also becomes really boring. And I don't think that has to happen. You can be a really good person, but you can also be a great person, a very memorable person to be with. You can be a great friend at the same time. So I think that the well-roundedness is something that's important. So I think, focus on that.
Great. And sex for you is?
It's a lot of fun. I think my partner is my best friend. So for me, it's, everything that I need in my life, it's in him. We're family, we're each other's number one cheerleader. We work together. We have a great personal life. So for me, it's not something that I can take out of my relationship. I think without sex, my relationship wouldn't work.
Learnings as an entrepreneur?
Oh God, especially for women, have a solid financial background, know how to manage your money. Getting into entrepreneurship with the idea that, it's going to work and you'll figure out where money comes from is not going to work. You have to have a clear idea. You need to have investments. You need to have an emergency fund, at least 12 months, 18 months, so that you can actually work. And especially for women, because systemically, VC funding is at an all-time low for women. Only about 2% of women last year got VC funding. And that's appalling. Only 18% of India's women are financially independent. So I think if you want to get into entrepreneurship, or even if you want to take a break, it's critical to get your finances in order, understand, get a financial advisor, understand how money works. Don't let it be in somebody's hands. You need to know how to invest. You need to know how to save money, budgeting. All of these things are important, just as a basic. With entrepreneurship, I think there are a ton of resources, and anybody who says that they just don't understand, are not doing enough research, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Instagram and follow 3 or 4 people who will tell you everything that there is. So curating that kind of life around you is super important. Also, additionally, I know that there's this popular idea that the decisions you make impact your life, but I think it goes beyond that, because your thoughts, your emotions, all of these influence decisions, and the key here is your environment. if you're in a toxic relationship, your decisions are not going to further your life. You need to get out of it. If you are in an environment that's not serving you well, you're at a job that that's not taking your interest in mind, or you're not growing, you have to find a way out. So intentionally curating your environment is critical. I know a lot of people will have FOMO, that they're missing out on some things that others aren't, but identifying exactly what you need to have a successful, happy life, and curating that for yourself is what's going to make everything else fall into place.
Lovely. So last one, luck or hard work? What is important?
Both. I mean, I think like I'm doing 10% of the hard work somebody else is doing, but because of the family I'm born into, the kind of privilege I've had, that hard work has shown different results than maybe somebody else. So I'm not saying hard work's not important. With all the privilege in the world, if you're not putting in the effort, it's not going to do anything. But it's also important for people like us to understand that there are other people more talented than us who are working harder, and if we have the opportunity to give them space to show that talent.
Beautiful. So thank you. It was such an exciting and a very, very peppy kind of podcast that I've had. It really excites me as well to have you. So just one thing before you go, how do we help ourselves to discover our second act?
I think I really like the idea of ikigai, and that's something that helped me, where you find what you're purposeful for, what you're passionate about, and what is profitable, because all three together are going to be important. I also think that at the same time, micro experiments are very important. So if I had said that I'm going to quit law and then I'll figure out what to do, it may not have worked. But slowly taking small steps, exploring opportunities, and because most of those opportunities failed, I tried a lot of things that didn't work until I landed onto this. So being comfortable with the idea of micro experiments and that many of them wouldn't work, and creating your category of one. So it's not that just my research skills are good or just my people's skills are good. It's that I come with a combination of factors that make me a very unique addition to any team I'm a part of, or any company, or any a circle that I'm going to be a part of. And all of us have that, but identifying that category of one and honing that and nurturing those skills together and identifying how all of them come together, it's something that I find helps not just me but also other people I've seen implement these learnings.
You are beautiful. Your conversation is amazing. The work that you're doing is splendid. So thank you so much. May you discover more acts and be at it and be inspiring to so many more. So have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks.